And we're live. Welcome to another episode of Interchain FM, your one-stop shop for Cosmos Alpha. I'm your host, Django Unchained, and today we're here with Deborah Sampier. She is the CEO of Althea Systems, and Althea is the team that has built the Gravity Bridge that we're going to be talking about today. Welcome to the show, Deborah.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited and honored to be here and be a part.
Cool. Do you want to give a quick intro about yourself, and then we'll get started?
Yeah, happy to. So, as you mentioned, I'm the CEO and co-founder of Althea. We make a distributed internet infrastructure platform. So instead of like one company like Comcast or many different entities can receive revenue from owning different pieces of infrastructure. And then there's a decoupled service layer, kind of sort of re-envisioning how we deliver an internet service. We have networks in 6 states and have it deployed internationally. And we built the Gravity Bridge to, just to bring in stable coins and to be able to support the Althea broadband infrastructure.
Got it. So do you want to give us a high-level overview about what the Gravity Bridge is?
Yeah, happy to do that. So the Gravity Bridge is this similar architecture to many other types of bridges in that you are moving transactions between the EVM and Ethereum ecosystem and Cosmos using a lockup, right? So tokens from the Gravity.Sol contract get locked up and then minted on the Cosmos side. And then there's a withdrawal process that uses a innovative batching mechanism so that your transactions gas fees are shared with the with a group of folks, right? Which creates sort of an efficiency and cost savings there instead of having to pay individual gas rates, which is big for what we were trying to do. By bringing these stable coins to regular broadband users, it was important that we didn't really have these high and inflated gas costs that we see on Ethereum. So that's a big part of the bridge architecture. The other, I think, really a large innovation here is that instead of using like a multi-sig or a permissioned group, it utilizes the validator set of a Cosmos blockchain to sign transactions. And those folks run light clients to work with the Ethereum architecture. So I think that's what's really exciting right now. The Gravity Bridge blockchain has 120 validators. We did a decentralized start. And so you really do have the vision of decentralization really coming to life here and adding security to the Gravity Bridge blockchain. You don't have to trust a multi-sig or a permission group of actors that they're going to be that they're going to behave. Instead, we can trust in the code.
Right. So it's interesting that you talk about the multi-sig because the most recent hack in our recent memory was that $323 million one on Solana. So maybe we should address that and how Gravity Bridge may or may not be different.
Yeah, we do see, bridges are a potential thing that gets hacked quite a bit. I think in this particular case, though, what we saw there was a vulnerability in the Solana code. So to that defense, I don't think you're actually in fact seeing a bridge hack. I mean, the mechanism that they did do sort of exploited the bridge, but it was because of something within the kind of Solana code. I know for our focus, and one of the reasons why this project, took so long to kind of come to fruition was the focus on, auditing and security for the over 70,000 lines of code that Gravity is. So we had 3 different audits, the amazing informal team, key to Cosmos, infrastructure, one of the, of course, founding teams. They did an audit. We had the lease authority team did another audit as well. And then we also had a really innovative project called C4 Arena. that did a crowdsource audit too. And those folks were, a lot of those folks came from the Ethereum ecosystem too. So you really did have a lot of these different talented folks taking a look at that code from their different strengths. So, to the best of our ability, we focused on that.
Okay, fair enough. So with the way you do bridging in Tendermint, I just want to go through the history of how this whole thing started. It was 2017, and a lot. There's not a whole lot of people who actually conceived of the idea. Oh, sorry, Deborah, I'm getting a little bit of feedback. Could you mute? Okay, so with where was I? 2017, we were talking about blockchain interoperability, right? This was a very novel concept at first with creating peg zones, right? And that was kind of the origins of Peggy. And then with Peggy, it evolved into Gravity Bridge. So can you give us your side of the story about how Althea picked this project up and how we got to this place today?
Yeah, I mean, I think Gravity Bridge has a really rich history, and I think it is really interesting to, kind of take us through that journey. I think originally, there back in early Cosmos history, there was envisioned this idea of a peg zone, in the white paper, and how that would evolve, and then the Swish Labs team, which became Peggy, sort of started the torch and started that work. And then, kind of forked that off into their own project in DEX, and that, of course, exists today. And then we of course had the need with our project that we had a kind of a neutral source of bridge that would be also gas efficient. One of the reasons why Gravity is designed the way it is that the batching mechanisms works when there's a lot of volume, right? So you do want to create a bridge in which many different projects would work. Even for our own kind of selfish reasons over at Althea, what we wanted to do was create a bridge either for the hub or, for the Cosmos ecosystem that many different projects can interact with, right? So that's kind of what started our journey. We started developing it. And then, of course, what we see too is because Gravity Bridge is open source, many different projects, Sommelier, Injective, Ume now, Atmos, many people have used the Gravity module within their own code, and already to great benefit. In fact, I would imagine many cosmonauts already interact with the Gravity Bridge on a regular basis in their life cycle with Cosmos. But what we started to notice too was that many different projects didn't want to build it into their own projects, right? There's some maintenance lift, and what we come to understand too, working together with a lot of the Cosmos implementers and hub developers and folks that maintain the hub, is that a more iterative or a bridge that could evolve a little bit quicker and could update a little bit quicker would be better as its own separate project. So that's why you sort of see it evolving from a project that was, originally kind of designed with Althea to think, okay, let's put this on the hub, to, now that we have interchain security, we kind of get the best of both worlds, right? Of having some of the security from the Atom stakers also participate in Gravity, while still having a quickly updatable and iterative bridge. So I think this is the exciting progression that really leads us to what we all kind of want to accomplish.
So interchain security is not here yet, but are you saying that you are building Gravity Bridge in preparation for something like this in the future?
I think that, Gravity Bridge is a decentralized project. Interchain security isn't done, but, I think there is the possibility of that, working very well to achieve extra security for the Gravity Bridge blockchain. it grows. And I think we'll want to continue those discussions, explore them, the Gravity Bridge community, together with I think the informal team is building interchain security. So I think there's definitely an evolution and a process that could lead to that. But again, like, it's very early, so I hate to kind of speculate around that. But I think there is advantages to being able to, sort of have some of the security from Atom stakeholders, which was, some of the benefits of being on the hub, while still like having our cake and eat it too, right? Where we still get the opportunity to have a more iterative bridge, have a validator set that can update, can add new features a lot more quickly than the hub that has a lot of, needs to be a more secure platform, and can't like move that agilely.
Mm-hmm. And okay, just to give a primer to our listeners who don't know what interchain security is the concept of leveraging the Atom, or any staking token for that matter, to lend security and liquidity to another blockchain that utilizes interchain security. So, for example, if I am blockchain Foo, I am Foo Chain, and I need to bootstrap security for my chain. And let's say there's not enough liquidity, or which because it's a staking token, meaning that I don't have enough security to bootstrap the chain with. I'm going to leverage the Atom, which is a more well-established staking token that has a lot of security and validators behind it, to secure my new Foo chain. And so I'm leveraging another blockchain's security, essentially. And if any of the validators of Foo chain equivocate, then I'm liable to being slashed on the Cosmos hub. And that's how it lends its NATO-like security features for other chains in this interchain ecosystem. So that's just that's the concept.
Yeah, and I think, to your earlier point, it's not done. I mean, I think there's there's some of the vision of the later iterations probably fit a little bit better with Gravity Bridge's validator set, where it's like a mixed blend of security between a independent validator set on Gravity Bridge and Atom. But you have two decentralized groups here, right? We have the Gravity Bridge folks, and then we also have Atom. So happy to like facilitate those conversations and see where this goes. But I think there's definitely some benefit to exploring that, for sure.
So you mentioned that Althea needs something like Gravity Bridge to on-ramp stablecoins into your system, such that I guess people would be enabled to pay with stablecoins to use your, mesh network, right? Use via your routers. So how does Gravity Bridge maintain credible neutrality in this context?
Yeah, I mean, we're just one user, right? So the way that the Gravity Bridge is sort of designed from a business sense is, you can think of it like, like a business to business to user perspective, or I like to call it blockchain to blockchain to user, right? But other projects utilize it, connect to it permissionlessly through IBC, or they can build front ends for it, which is almost as simple as like using an API. So there's no preferential treatment. It's a permissionless process. The only kind of permissioning that needs to happen on Gravity in order to interact with it is if you want to have a Cosmos, if you have a Cosmos blockchain and you want the representation of that. Let's say I want Althea's coin is called Alt G. What if I want Ethereum based Alt G? Then you have a governance vote on the Gravity blockchain to add your denom, so that it's listed on the Ethereum side. But other than that, it's a completely permissionless process. We already have Cosmos Station UI interacting with it. I think Blockscape, is working on another one, and so we're already starting to see this interaction of folks just kind of permissionlessly connecting different IBC channels and stuff like that too. It's really just a bridge that people can use.
Okay, so are you seeing Cosmos app chains just leveraging the Gravity Bridge module and kind of having their own bespoke bridge over to Ethereum? Do you see them wanting to compete with this bridge chain in the future, such that perhaps their bespoke one becomes the de facto bridge between Ethereum and Cosmos.
Well, I think it goes back to my earlier point that separating liquidity isn't necessarily beneficial for anyone, right? Like, so using sort of a neutral bridge and having a large amount of volume really benefits that batching mechanism. So if you're interested in having a lower gas cost and having, you know, quicker transactions, then utilizing a neutral bridge is far more advantageous than building a bespoke instance. Also, the lift of just managing that architecture, right? You know, and also the ability to interact with other Cosmos blockchains over IBC and kind of having that real true internet of blockchains, I think becomes much more facilitated when you have, you know, a purpose-built bridge, right? You know, so I think, you know, so far we've seen a lot of projects that are interested in participating, that don't want to do the lift of like having their own. You know, typically it's a lot about like how you think about capturing the user, right? So if you want to kind of like own the user experience to your own DEX, right, then you maybe don't want to split your liquidity. But you know, if you are interested in interoperating with the rest of the, you know, the Cosmos chains, and you can bring in additional users in that way, which, you know, ultimately I feel like, I mean, we built a whole Althea platform based on the fact that open markets and you know, create more money for people. So it depends on if you have more of a monopolistic type of view on acquiring users. But I think if you adopt the premise, open markets make more money for everyone, and align users, then it just naturally makes sense that a neutral bridge would fit into that architecture.
Right. So for some of the listeners who come from the out of community side, some of them, I guess just because by virtue of being there in the early days, the conversation was around having the Gravity Bridge hosted on the hub. Can you speak to that and how it got split off to this other just bridge chain?
Yeah, I think I kind of alluded to that earlier. But you know, the understanding then became that although, you know, some of the security of the hub is beneficial, the hub isn't the kind of chain that can iterate quickly because of its many kind of multi-purpose need and its need to be the, you know, the stable kind of hub of Cosmos, right? And that it also isn't able to, you know, perhaps do updates, or, you know, the Gravity Bridge is working together with Stargaze for like NFTs, right? All of these different, you know, projects that might be, you know, interested in a more rapidly iterative bridge. It's not really the right fit. So when we, you know, with interchain security, you know, coming to the conversation with more blockchains wanting to sort of interact with it on a neutral platform, it just made a lot of sense for everybody that was looking at sort of implementing and maintaining the hub, that this was the, you know, the having the cake and eating it too sort of moment.
And so there's going to be the Gravity Bridge token, right? So can you speak to that a little more? Who benefits from there being a token, I suppose, and how is it going to be leveraged in the system?
Yeah, so the token allows us to utilize different incentive mechanisms for people using the bridge. Again, kind of speaking to that volume and having a central point for liquidity to move through. I actually was listening to Billy of the Twitter Spaces the other day, and him talking about how you have a couple different bridges in Solana, and really the most used one was the one that was able to provide sort of incentives and some creative mechanisms to drive adoption, right? And so I think that it makes a lot of sense to have a token. I mean, the Gravity Bridge is intended to be long-term infrastructure in the ecosystem. You know, this isn't a 6-month or a 1-year project. This is core infrastructure that's meant to support the Cosmos community for a long time. So I think that when you have a token, you can that helps one maintain the health of the bridge, incentivize more folks to work on it, to maintain the health of the bridge, and also to drive adoption and stuff like that too. So I think it just makes sense.
Yeah. So how would this I guess, compare with the Axelar bridge and other bridges like Peggy, for example, like SifChain's Peggy?
Yeah, and I can't necessarily speak to the technical differences to it. My focus is primarily in business, so happy to kind of share that angle on it. I mean, I think we see Axelar looking to sort of create a multi bridge chain, right? So lots of different interactions with projects, not just EVM, right? And I think that's a business strategy. And I think for Gravity Bridge, it's positioned itself as we're really focusing on that infrastructure just working, being there and secure, and kind of focusing right now on just the EVM. So I think it is two different business strategies. Do you want to have the Pokemon and have them all, and potentially that has risks and benefits, and then you have Gravity, which is more focused on the EVM and chains, and on kind of like perfecting that process to be stable and ergonomic. And then Peggy, of course, is connected to the SifChain DEX, which isn't, as far as I know, still not available in the US. So and my understanding is it's a bit more of a centralized process or project. But again, I don't want to speak for them, but they have a little bit, I think, from a business perspective, a different angle, right? They're looking to bring folks onto their DEX platform, and then unfortunately are due to legal reasons not able to work with those US users.
Got it. And what were some of the challenges with bringing something like the Gravity Bridge to production? Because, from the Cosmos side, we have taken much, much longer than any other ecosystem has to bring a bridge to fruition between Ethereum and their ecosystem. And this is by virtue of being a non-EVM ecosystem. But what were some of the challenges that you ran into building something like this to create interoperability between something with Nakamoto consensus finality and something like Tendermint BFT finality?
Yeah, I mean, certainly this is tackled by other projects. I think one of the main reasons why you see it taking a little bit longer with Gravity is by virtue of decentralization. When you have to look at coordinating, 120 different validators and, make something that is lightweight enough that they can run, I think then you're going to look at, democracy is just a little bit more messy, right? But it's definitely the better path to go along. So I would say, that is probably the one of the larger issues. I mean, and also to the just sort of developing it along with the Cosmos SDK, which is an evolving creature of its own. And then Gravity Bridge doesn't work without IBC, and of course that just also came out as well too. So there's all these kind of moving components that have evolved on their own timelines that are sort of necessary for the infrastructure of the bridge working. But like to my point earlier, like you can come in and make something more centralized and sure it's quicker. But the vision with the Gravity Bridge is a long-term piece of infrastructure, like IBC is, that will be a core and integral part of Cosmos and allow the sort of vision of the Interchain and blockchains to come to life. So, good things are worth waiting for.
Yeah, I think something that's important to touch on that is implicit in this entire interview about Gravity Bridge is that it is a trust minimized bridge. And the reason for it being more decentralized than many other bridges is because most other bridges are constructed via this multi-sig proof of authority model. And that is a lot easier to develop than something that is decentralized or more distributed in nature. And so that's why we've seen most of the bridges between Ethereum and its layer twos and the side chains between Avalanche and Solana come to market much, much faster.
Yes, thank you for bringing that to light. That's exactly what I was trying to say.
Right. Okay. So yeah, speaking of those other ecosystems, I want to go back to the Solana hack again, right? Which is like, you know, there's a very real argument to be made that bridges are now sweet honeypots for attackers, because there's just so much money moving through them. So are there mitigations in place for an attack if Gravity Bridge were ever targeted? Just because this is a pretty major milestone for Cosmos, and people are going to start targeting this ecosystem now that there's just millions of dollars flowing through. So are there mitigations? Do we have something like what do you think about rate limiting for withdrawals? Or you could never completely prevent theft in the blockchain context, just because there's no such thing as chargebacks, but you could definitely disincentivize theft, right, by building in some sort of revocation feature. And so what has been the thinking there in terms of mitigating and disincentivizing hacks on these bridges?
Yeah, and I do want to also preface by saying, my co-founder Justin Kilpatrick, who wrote the majority of this, could probably speak to this a bit more technically. Also, Jahan Chambek wrote and was part of a lot of the additional early design decisions. But I think what we, to kind of high level this, we're looking at a coordinated validator set, right? So, the main trust level is that, if 2/3 of the validator set decide to act inappropriately, and a lot of the things that we worked on with Informal was like, how do we signal that if that happens? Like, how do we signal things happen inappropriately, or how do we slash around that? And so there was a lot of thought kind of put into that being the main, potential vector, right, where these things could come up. So I think, the main premise is very practical, right? 2/3 of the validators that will have to act inappropriately in order for those things to happen. Then a lot of the things are put into place to either like halt the bridge, so things can be mitigated. A lot of the coordinating efforts that we do just on the social side is like, making sure validators have a good flow of information and can react quickly should there be any sort of issue there. And like I said, we did put a lot of work into those kind of design mechanisms, especially working early on with Informal in that audit, the kind of design thinking audit that we did early in the bridges process.
Okay, that sounds like the vanilla Tendermint BFT security guarantees. So I guess I was thinking something more, out of band, something that, maybe is some, state machine app level kind of feature that you could add in. But I guess that's a conversation for the future. We'll see. Are you worried about hacks on this bridge?
Yeah, I mean, of course, like, I think anybody in blockchain who's founding or starting blockchains or anything like that, you should be, right? It's very early. I mean, the reality is anything early is, there's always unknown unknowns, right? You don't even know what you know, right? So things like, bounty programs and, those kinds of things, I think the Gravity community needs to continue to have conversations about. Some of the things that you're talking about, I think also are like kind of future conversations. There's also things like, why do we want to blacklist the terrorist lists or stuff like that too, right? Like, how does how does the community want to handle that? So that's what's great about a decentralized community, is those conversations can happen as it evolves.
Yeah. Yeah. Whatever bug bounty you put up, it ought to be higher than the amount that's in custody on the chain.
Right. Yeah.
Because if I could get away with stealing from the chain, I'd rather take that bug bounty.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, I think the stealing from the chain has multiple motivations sometimes, right? But this is why there is, the community pool of gravity is quite large and is meant to sort of look at how we can maintain the chain long term and be available there to not only support the growth of the gravity bridge, but look at how we can improve it to mitigate these attack surfaces.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's move on to the UX of this thing. What can people currently do with it, and what can they do in the future with it?
Yeah, this is a super great question. And kind of to my earlier point, so it's permissionless to make a Gravity UI, but that also means that we don't have a lot of control around timelines around that too. So what we have right now is Cosmos Station has made a great UI called Space Station that you can send, Ethereum, DAI, and USDC to Gravity, and then right now you can CLI it, or you can use Skynet Explorers has made a great interface here, and we have a good video that you can check out on our YouTube about how to then send that to other Cosmos chains like Osmosis. So that's all available now. The basics of that are there. Everything CLI is available to do. And right now, what the kind of next steps is that the easy deposit of like USDC and ETH into other Cosmos chains directly, right? So you want to, what we're working on is you just send USDC and then it sends to Gravity and then auto forwards to the chain of your choice, like Osmosis or DEX, or Gravity DEX, and you can then interact with it on different pools, right? That's the dream. We're pretty close to that, and looking forward to not only having the Cosmos Station UI be able to do that, but many different UIs standing up here soon as well. So wish that was a little bit quicker, but we're looking forward to that coming soon.
Okay, so somebody on Twitter, I think it was either Lex or RL Avelino, who leaked some alpha, so to speak. They were talking about taking Ethereum CryptoPunks or popular NFTs like whatever Ether Rocks, whatever they have, moving them through Gravity Bridge into the Cosmos ecosystem, and then I guess creating a 3D NFT rendered in Strange Clan, for example. Are we able to see that come to life, or is that some faraway dream?
Yeah, I think that's pretty soon. Like I said, we were working with the great folks over at Stargaze on their NFT project and doing exactly these kinds of things. I mean, the decisions around what sort of information and data is going to come along with that NFT, and having parity with the Cosmos version of that, I think is what's still being experimented with and it's interesting and exciting, but yeah, I don't think we're too far off from the Ethereum MFTs on Cosmos.
Okay, yeah, very exciting. That's something that a lot of us are going to be looking forward to. Okay, so is there anything that I missed that you would like to cover about Gravity Bridge or Althea?
Boy, that's a really big open-ended question. I mean, I would just love to have, we appreciate the feedback and interaction with the community, and we have a great Discord over there if folks want to get in touch. I did also want to show that we are seeing our first Cosmos-based blockchains creating Ethereum representations of their token, like NIM and Certix coin. So we're also looking forward to that, usability, and so that any kind of Cosmos blockchain can, be kind of instantly on Uniswap, and that really adds liquidity and tradability to their tokens as well.
Okay, yeah, very exciting. So I will just take a comment from the audience. And Jeff Check says, no, you can indeed get to SIFT now in the US.
Good news. Good deal.
Okay, and yeah, that's all for my questions for now. Where can people find you, Deborah?
Discord is our best bet, or Twitter is at gravity_bridge. We also have and that'll have the link to the Discord there as well. So we've got a great community of folks there willing to ask their questions, and I'm usually there a lot of the time too.
Okay, great. Well, thank you to our live audience who is tuning in right now. And thank you to Brian Luke from Tendermint, who's helping me produce these shows on a weekly basis. And next week, we're going to have the people behind MetaRats come and speak to us about privacy preserving NFTs on Secret Network and by extension, the Cosmos Network. So we will see you next week. Bye.
Thanks so much.